All right. Let's go ahead and get started on a lift. So lift your hips up a little bit higher than your knees. And of course, if this hurts your knees, find a pose that doesn't hurt your knees. If you sit on your shins, you're welcome to sit on your shins. But try to lift the hips up in a way that you can comfortably get settled. Lengthen the spine, even the back of the neck. Tune the awareness to the breath. Maybe your eyes are open, maybe they're closed. And begin to welcome in this practice. Deepen the breath. Allow the breath to come in and all the way down to the bottom of the ribs. As you exhale, notice drifting back to center. And just take a few moments here at the beginning of our practice to get comfortable with turning inward and feeling the sensation of the breath. Notice where the breath goes. So this is just a practice of becoming aware, keen awareness. And now play with the breath. Deepen it so you have about 5 or 6 seconds on your inhale. Match the exhale to be the same length. Take about 3 more rounds of breath. So that'll be about half a minute. And really feel the breath moving in, opening spaces inside that might have been tight or unused. Maybe bring some motion to the body as you inhale and exhale. And eventually make sure the eyes are open, draw the shoulders onto the back. And we're going to move the breath quite rapidly in a Kapalabhati breath. So it's just going to be a blowing out through the nose as if there were a little feather on your top lip and you were just trying to sniff it away. You will automatically refill. So it'll be like this. And as you do that, the belly will tuck in every time. It's almost like a belly exercise. Core muscles draw in and up every time that you just blow the breath across the top lip. So we'll do it 10 times and then stop. We'll do 2 more rounds just like that. Of course, if you get dizzy, stop. Kapalabhati breath. Here we go. And pause. Take a breath in and out, and we'll take round 2. Just 10. Here we go. And then pause. And actually, this round, let's take 20. Here we go again. 3, 2, 1. And go ahead and stop here. Notice your breath. So that was about 40. You might feel a little lightness. You might feel a shift of energy. Notice the breath. Feel the sensations. Tonight, all about feeling the sensations, shifting the sensations, deep awareness. Notice how that breath made you feel. Notice where you feel that. Tabletop pose. So when you're ready, bring yourself to your hands and knees on your mat. Pad your knees if you like. Sometimes I just pull a loop into the mat, so I double pad the mat so my knees are comfortable. If you need a blanket, you're welcome to put that underneath your knees, but find your way into a good firm table pose. So the hands are under the shoulders and knees under the hips, navel drawn into the spine. back of the neck long so you have a straight back, just as if you were standing at attention. And we'll move from here to cow and cat tilts. So your toes are down and your shins are down. Go ahead and melt the heart and lift the gaze and look forward, cow pose. Chin forward, belly down, hips up, sitting bones up. And if you have any kind of low back injury, you want to go easy on this. You don't want to over compress. If you have sciatica, you want to keep a narrow or shallow bend in that low back. If it's okay, if it's comfortable to move deeply into your cow pose, go right ahead, chin forward, sitting bones up. Cat pose will be our next posture. So when you're ready, move back slowly with an exhale, move through table to that straight spine. And if curving is okay with you, go ahead and drop the crown of the head to point down at the thumbs. Open that low back. Lift the rib cages away from each other. So center of the back goes up. Big breath in through the nose. Fill the rib cage. Feel the low back open a little bit. And now let's move with our breath. On the inhale, gentle bend to the elbows. Coast the head forward, return to your cow pose, modify as needed. Cat pose on your exhale, and we're going to flow right through this into another set. Inhale, cow pose, lift the head, lift the hips. This time when you come back through your cat pose, pause at the deepest version of your cat pose. And if you have osteoporosis, that's going to be a much more shallow version or even a straight back. And from this cat pose, hinge the hips back to the heels and allow the low back to open as you reach into your child's pose. Forehead could come to the mat. Maybe knees have to nudge out a bit to create more room for the chest, but bring the forehead down. Opportunity to stretch the fingertips forward. Deeper arm stretch might include lifting the palms while leaving all 10 finger pads on the mat. Lengthen to the arms and the upper back. Breath into the belly so you feel the low back stretching. Tabletop pose. On your inhale, pull yourself back up to table. Knees back under hips. Cow pose again, lift the head, lift the hips. And this time, walk the hands further forward, so out in front of your shoulders to the top of your mat. We're going to lean forward with the heart, bring the heart through the plane of the arms, and find an up dog, back bend, spine lengthener. And then we'll shift back again through table and to cat pose. I'm sorry, to child's pose. Hips all the way back, hands are in front of you. One breath here, and we'll move through an extended cat and an extended cow. Inhale, come up to table, walk the hands forward and find your version of up dog. The heart comes forward through the arms, maybe the knees lift. Exhale, back to table. Move through child's pose with your breath, hips all the way back. Stay for a full circuit of breath. Continue through 2 more rounds at your own tempo. Inhale is bringing you up and forward to your up dog, perhaps raising the knees. Exhale, bringing you back through table to child's pose. So continue 1 more full round, your own breath, your own timing, no rush. This should feel organic. Use the breath. This pose, full of sensation and awareness and tuning in to the wisdom of the body, to the needs of the body, the feelings, the sensations in the breath. We'll meet back in child's pose. Knees could be together this time in child's pose, offering deep rounding to the low back. Or if you prefer the knees out even wider, that's a possibility too. Find your child's pose, settle into your posture. Let's walk the hands off the right side of the mat. So you can stay in your child's pose. Both hands walk to the right side, right hand off the mat. Place the left hand on top of the other hand. Press the left hand down and the left hip back. So length all along the left side body. Breath and stretch along that left side body, shoulder, hip. Expansion along the left. Other side, left hand off the mat on the left, right hand on top of it. Top palm presses down, right hip slides back. Length and breath and complete presence as you fill the lung and stretch the rib cage with your pose and with your breath. Come back through tabletop pose. So back to center and lift up to table. And this time we'll move straight to a neutral spine. So as straight as you can get your back on your hands and knees. We'll just slide that right leg behind us and into the air. So the right heel hovers, kick back through the right heel as if there were a wall there. You pull your right hand underneath your right shoulder so you're nice and stable. And then that left hand reaches forward, lengthening right heel to left fingertips. On your exhale, tuck. Tuck that left elbow and right knee together underneath your heart. A little balance practice, a little opening in that right hip. 2 more sets of those. Inhale, drawing length to the pose. Exhale, even draw the navel in on your exhale. 1 more round. Pointer dog. Top knee, elbow to chest. And we'll move back to table. Second side, left heel reaches out with breath, with length, with presence. Right hand reaches forward. Tuck on your exhale, bring the left knee and right elbow together under the heart, round the back. Move with your breath. Slide through, so you have 3 sets of these poses. And when you're ready, find your way back to tabletop pose, hands and knees. And we'll move straight to gate pose. Gate pose means just step that right foot out beside you. Place the sole of the right foot outside that right hip. Lean the hips back toward that left heel. That might be plenty of stretch for you. You might not need to go very far to feel that stretch. If you want to bring blocks in for your forearms, you could bring in 1 or 2, stack 1 arm on each block, or stack 2 blocks and put your forearms on it. You could keep your forearms on the ground or on the block. It will stay long enough in gait to open up and really feel the inside of that right leg, open the hip. Feel the breath. Notice where it's going. Notice its impact. Keen awareness. Deep presence and awareness broadens our awareness in life. Like yoga is a practice, awareness is a practice. It takes practice. All right, palms down on the mat. Bring that right knee in. Gate on the other side. Left foot out beside the left hip. Left toes are down on the ground. This might be enough for you. You might want to bring forearms down to a block or to the floor. Hips might shift back. If your hips shift back, it might be just a little bit. It might be a lot, but you're looking for stretch on the inside of that left leg. And as always with our yin practice, we're looking to find a pose we can hold, a pose where we can grow and get deeper into as we stay. Looking for a steadiness and an ease, even when it's intense. You might reach for the breath to find your ease. 2 more rounds of breath. When you're ready to come out of the pose, back to tabletop pose. No rush. Perhaps child's pose would feel good here after that stretch. If downward dog would feel better for you, you're more than welcome to take downward dog instead. Those people who've chosen down dog have an opportunity to stretch the calves here by dangling the heels down toward the ground. You might want to bend the knees a lot, press the chest toward the thighs, then lift the hips way up as you straighten the back and drop the heels. Those who are in child's pose come up to table, and you can take that same calf stretch those in down dog are taking. You can do that by putting the toes of one foot at the back of the mat, stretching the calf on that side, and then switching sides. So whether you do it through down dog or through table, let's all stretch out the calf muscles. And then come down onto your hands and knees. Take a break. You can stand on your knees and we'll reach toward a sort of junior version of camel, sort of a counter pose here, knees down, torso straight, hips forward, shoulders forward, hands back. Hands might reach toward your heels. They might clasp and reach down. Just take a moment here, maybe float the chin up so the stretch is in the front of the neck. All right, back to tabletop pose. And if your wrists have had more than enough, you're welcome to come onto your forearms or use blocks underneath the forearms. We're just going to work now on a calf massage. So we'll use our right knee in behind our left knee as a tool to massage the calf. So walk the hands forward, maybe just a handprint as you lean forward and tuck that right knee in behind the left one. And then go ahead and take a stroke down the center of that left calf with your right kneecap. Oh boy, there we go, presence. Notice that complete presence happens in this pose, right down to your Achilles tendon and your ankle. You might do that twice, or use the right kneecap to iron out the left calf. And then do both the inside and the outside of that left calf. If you find a knot, go ahead and massage that with the kneecap. And we'll take a break when we're done and return to child's pose, this time a wide knee version of child's pose. So knees out as wide as they will go. This isn't even a back bend. This is with a straight back. The chest comes down, knees out wide, toes touch. Hands can reach forward. Some of you might bring the head or the chest to the ground. You're going to be here for a minute in this counter pose and deep inner thigh stretch. Wide knee, child's pose. So these still poses, these very still poses, can sometimes encourage our mind to get active. And if that happens, know that it's completely normal and use the opportunity of the drifting mind to bring the mind back, to be conscious, to be present in the pose. So that's easier said than done. Each time it comes back, maybe you give it something to anchor it, something to hold on to. Maybe it's a mantra like, I breathe in, I breathe out. Something for the mind to hold on to allow you to stay present in what you're doing. A mantra like let go also coordinates with the stretch here, inviting the body and the mind to work together, to breathe together, to stay present. Radical presence. Let's move back to table, or forearms can stay on blocks. We're going to take the second side. So hands might want to move forward, or forearms if you're using blocks. But the left knee tucks in behind the right knee and acts as a massage tool as it makes a stripe down the back of that left calf all the way to the Achilles tendon. So everybody's muted. So if you tend to scream when this happens, know that not everybody's hearing you. It can be very tight and kind of surprising. So if you have a declaration to make, you want to exclaim something, go ahead. None of us can hear you, but boy, do we all feel the same. Woo! And when you're finished, back to either table or down dog, get ready for our next set of postures. All right, runner's lunge is our next posture. So the right foot will come forward to the right thumb. So either from down dog, bring your right foot forward, or from table, stand on your shins and bring the right foot forward. And frame the foot, maybe even with blocks if your hands don't quite reach to the ground. We're going to tuck under the back toes and lift that back heel. And again, we'll have a chance to stretch that left heel back. You might even bend the ball of the foot and the toes here as you stretch that left heel back a few times. In the front, we're putting all of our weight on the blocks, and the knee, the right knee, is parked over the right ankle. We want that left leg behind us with all the weight at the front of the mat. So we're stretching that left hip flexor without having too much responsibility for stability. So that back leg is doing just stretch. All right, let's shift this to pyramid pose, continuing to stretch, but now moving the stretch to the front leg. Straighten both legs. And if you want to bring your back heel to the ground, you're welcome to. If hovering feels good, you're welcome to keep that left heel up in a crescent stretch. Or down to a warrior one, but get the back leg comfortable. Shift your focus to the awareness of the stretch in the right leg. Big, deep breath here. Practice staying connected to the stretch. Ball of the foot pressing down into the ground might bring you back into the practice. Yoga is called a practice because there's no performance. It's all personal. It's getting better at something every time we do it. It's our personal practice. It's our routines. And the more we do it, the more we draw our mind back to a pose. The more we get familiar with a certain shape, the easier it becomes to return and hold the mind or the shape. All right, runner's lunge again. Bend that front knee. This time we're dropping the back knee down to the ground. And again, you have the opportunity to pad the back knee. You could throw a blanket underneath that left knee. You could put a loop underneath it. Or maybe just land your left knee and left toes on the ground. No weight in that back leg. You could put a little pressure down, but you don't want that left leg to be responsible for your stability. All the stability is the hands and that right foot. If you put pressure into that left shin and left ankle, you'll feel more stretch in this left hip flexor. Lizard is our next posture. So lizard will mean bringing both hands inside that front foot. So both hands, both blocks, any height for those blocks inside the front foot. And we're going to take that front foot now and bring it out a little bit wider. And maybe turn it to a diagonal placement, or even turn it to the outer blade of the foot. Right hand could come to that right knee. Those toes could stay forward. That might be plenty of stretch for you. And as far as the wrists go, you could put them on blocks. You could come down onto your forearms if you like. Make sure that back leg is straight behind you. You might need to check in with that back leg. If the toes are out over the edge of the mat, pull that back leg in line. Find your lizard stretch. This is also called dragon stretch. And there's also another version, if you need to go further, called screaming dragon, where you reach the right hand back for the left foot, bend the left knee, reach the right hand back for that left foot. That's completely optional. And then we return to a pose where we can be completely aware, even when it's difficult to hold focus. Use your breath, use your mantra. Practice bringing the mind back when it floats away. Practice holding the pose. Maybe some good self-patter that says, you will be fine. Trust the body. Practice the pose. Over time, it gets easier. Stick with this confidence, clarity, and breath. We will end shortly. Take 2 more full breaths in, expanding the belly like a balloon on the inhale, contracting the belly completely, navel in toward the spine, engaging your core muscles, emptying out the breath on the exhale. You choose your counter pose, child's pose, or down dog. Go ahead and move yourself back and take about 30 seconds in between sides here in either child's pose or down dog. And to be perfectly honest, if there is another pose that your body is craving, then that is probably the better choice. Find the pose that serves you. That's part of our practice also. Tuning in to the wisdom, the enormous wisdom of our own bodies. All right, second side, when you're ready, find your way up into a standing pose on your shins to bring that left foot forward. Or if you're in downward dog, find a way to get some momentum and bring the left foot all the way forward, runner's lunge. So you could have hands on the mat, depending on the length of your hands and the length of your torso and the openness of the arms and hips. Knee and ankle on the front legs, line straight up. Back heel reaches back, little bending of the ball of the foot, stretching of the fascia on the bottom of the foot. So a runner's stretch or a runner's lunge pose here. Once you've got this set up, we're going to a pyramid pose. Pyramid pose will stretch the front leg. Back leg can stay as it is, or the back heel could drop down into more of a warrior one foot placement. If the mind drifts, bring it back to the sensation of the stretch, to exactly what you're doing right now. Lengthen the left leg, hinging from the low back over that left leg. If you need more intensity or more reminder of how it feels in the pose, the left toes press down, deepening the stretch for that left leg. What happens to your breath when the stretch gets deep? The practice is one of keeping steady, even in intense moments. Keep the breath steady. Don't let the flow of breath stop. Trust the body. Work with the body. Keep yourself strong and clear, breath flowing through ease and through intensity. All right, rebend that front knee, all the weight into the hands and the front foot. The back knee drops. Back toes walk back, and that right foot is in line with the right hip. In fact, if you look at the side of the mat, it shouldn't go over the side of the mat. It's parallel to the long sides of the mat. Any pressure into the right ankle or right shin will help to deepen the stretch for that right hip flexor. So as we practice, there will be times that it's easy and there will be times that it's hard. And that is all part of the practice. And there will be times the mind wanders, and there will be times where the mind settles. Good days, bad days, easy and hard days, all part of the practice. I bring that left hand inside that front foot. So both hands and maybe blocks are inside your left foot. Dragon pose. Hands can stay on the blocks, or you could bring the forearms down onto the blocks. Left toes, what works for you? Is that fine there? A lot of people are fine with their toes going forward. A lot of people are crying at this point with their toes going forward. This is a big hip opener. Others need to go further. They need to move those toes out or roll to the outer blade or bring that left hand to the left knee in order to feel the stretch at all. And some people are hypermobile. Some people are experienced yogis. Some people have more elastin than collagen in their body. Trust your body. That's part of the practice too. If the left hand needs to reach back for the right foot because you need that depth in order to get into the pose, then go as far as you need to go to feel the stretch. Three more rounds of breath here. You know where this will end, but breathe and stay completely present in this pose. When you're ready to exit the pose, hands down. Move back to child's pose this time. Reach the hands forward. They could stay on the blocks so the arms are getting a stretch, or they could move down onto the floor. Melt into your posture. If the mind keeps drifting away, make sure kind thoughts are the way you draw it back. Kind thoughts are part of the practice also. The more we use kind thoughts with ourselves, the more understanding and forgiving we are with ourselves and with others. All right, let's come upright to a seated pose next. If you have a blanket or bolster, you might want to sit on that, or at least bring it in behind the hips. So I'm going to use this bolster as I would use a blanket, a stack of blanket, folded blanket, and I'm going to sit at the front of the bolster, just so that I have a wedge in underneath my hips. And from here, we're going to move to wide angle forward fold. So the feet move out. And again, some of us will have a variation. Toes will go on either side of a mat. Others will have feet out beside their ears. Take your hips out to a point where you feel a significant stretch. Hands beside you when you're in that stretch. You don't have to go as far as you can go. Just find a significant stretch. Palms pressed down. Crown of the head reaches up. Chin down so the back of the neck lengthens. We're going to begin to hinge forward and back, bobbing forward and back with a straight back. Allow that low back to release and stretch. You might want to bring your blocks nearby. We're going to hinge forward at this next time. The next time we come forward, pause there with your straight back. You could drop the head down onto a stack of blocks. Those blocks could be stacked at many different heights. Some of you won't need any head support at all because the head is so far up over the hips. Others might fall further into the pose over time. Some of you might have your chest down on the ground. Do not worry if your pose is not as deep as it was or as deep as someone else's is. This is where we practice gratitude for being able to make it to practice today, for being safe and healthy, for being able to use our breath and our yoga to bring ease into the body. Again, practice staying steady and in the pose. Again, that practice is something we do over and over a lifetime, really. We get better and better at it over time. If you've fallen further into your pose and you don't need one of your blocks, check it out. Maybe you can fold a little further forward now. After we've practiced the pose, we get a little more range. If it's okay to lower a block a notch or take one of the blocks out of the way, go right ahead. You may have heard the phrase, practice yoga every day. And people ask me if I practice yoga every day. And I guess it depends on your definition of yoga. If it's 90 minutes of hot vinyasa yoga, then no, not every day. But if it's the mindset, if it's that kind mindset, if it's the practice of staying present, if it's the practice of gratitude, then yes, absolutely. Every day, several times a day, on and off the mat, I try to stay present so that I can feel what's going on, so that I can listen to the wisdom the body has to share with me if I listen. And then I introduce the practice of gratitude. So wherever I am, I begin to develop the skill of awareness, broaden the perspective so that I can be grateful, so I can feel gratitude. So let's move out of this pose and we'll come upright. Move your blocks out of the way for a moment. Bring yourself back upright. Bend the knees. Feet on the ground. Hands could be beside you or behind you. And let both knees drift back and forth. And boy, you'll feel that. That should feel good. Butterfly pose. And again, this pose is nice if you're sitting up on a lift or even in front of the lift. This one does work well with the block as well. And you don't have to be on the front edge. You can be above the feet. Bring the feet together and allow the knees to drop down toward the sides as far as they will go. So again, that lengthen the spine. Hinge forward a few times with that straight back until you open the adductor muscles. And we've been here before, you know, we did our wide child's pose. This should be getting easier. Hands forward, maybe blocks for the head. We'll practice yoga. Practice that compassion and that deep presence. A yoga practice doesn't necessarily mean just postures. It's a mindset. And along with the postures and the mindset and the perspective shift, we add gratitude. And of course, there's lots of gratitude in the cards and in the vocabulary these days, on the internet. Tons of times that we say we feel grateful. And tons of times that we do, but there's also the practice of gratitude. And it starts small and it grows. And just like the rest of our yoga practice, it becomes part of us, something we do automatically on a cellular level. All right, come up, and we will move out of this pose. Soles of the feet again to the ground, and we'll move them side to side. At this point, we're moving on to our backs. If there's any other stretch that your body's craving here, you're welcome to add that. If there is an extended pose that you need to add, if there's a deep forward fold for the hamstrings that you want to add, go ahead and add that. But listen to your body. Find that pose that your body might be craving. Tune in, become aware of what the body needs. And then join me on our backs. And we'll start with a twist here. So bring that right knee into the chest. And give it a good deep pull. Circle the right knee. And we're moving into a twist as we bring this right knee over to the left side. So left hand holds onto that right knee. Stretches here in the right leg and the right hip. Stretch moves into the right side body, and that right arm reaches beside you. Right shoulder down. And the right knee moves across the body to the best of your ability. So that might mean knee in close or knee extended further down, but breathe. Maybe your right foot lands on the floor or on your other leg. Try to keep the right shoulder down and the breath moving from right shoulder down to that right hip and into the right leg. A little pressure from your left hand will open up this stretch, twist you open. Deep breath here, deep presence combined with breath brings you to a point of awareness, which is called yoga. Unifying awareness, breath, presence, feeling, sensation. Yoga means to yoke or to bring together. Feeling what is really happening. Second side, same twist. Bring the right leg down the mat. Draw the left knee in. How does that feel? Circle the knee. Be honest. Move in ways that your body is requesting. Explore anything unusual. Trust. Trust the wisdom, the enormous wisdom of your body. And after you get a few circles in on that left knee, bring it across the body. Same thing, right hand on left knee, opposite hand out beside you. Left shoulder down. So maybe you have to roll back to get that left shoulder down. Let your exhales absolutely melt that left shoulder down. Let your right hand on your left knee deepen your twist. Notice the presence in the pose. Embody the pose, not only with the stretch, but with the breath and the awareness. All right, bridge pose is our next posture. So roll back onto your back. Place the feet underneath the knees. And you're going to want to have a block nearby. Fingertips reach toward your heels. So we're getting ready for bridge. Feet point down the mat. Thighs are parallel to one another. And we'll just stand into our feet, lift the hips, and draw the heart up and toward the chin, deep presence and awareness. Only then can we begin to truly feel. We have to be completely present to actually feel gratitude or actually feel the breath. Bring the block in underneath the hips. Settle the hips onto the block, either the flattest way or one notch up. Settle in, feel the pose, become aware of the body. Practice listening to the wisdom that your body has. Maybe you're curious about what the body is saying. Go ahead and extend the legs. Extend both legs. And notice the flex on the front of the hips. If your body says that hurts the back, honor the body, or at least ask the body why. Maybe you're holding your breath and that's why it hurts. Explore, listen and explore the cues the body sends you. If you can comfortably extend both feet forward, go ahead and do so. If the body's pretty sure that that's not going to work, then one at a time is fine. And go ahead and switch sides, bringing the other foot in as you stretch the lengthened hip flexor. For low back pain, this pose is often one of the very best ways to open up the hips. So whichever pose you're in the half low bridge or the full low bridge, go ahead and draw one knee in toward the chest. When we open the hip flexors on the front of the hips, it allows us to stand up straighter. Do both sides. Extend the other leg and draw the other knee in. When we're able to stand up straighter because the hip flexors on the front of our body are open, all of a sudden the low back doesn't get that overstretching, which sitting and driving often overstretch the low back. Feet down. Feet down, lift the hips up off the block, move the block out of the way and hold your bridge pose here. So hands could reach toward your heels, maybe even touch your heels. Stand into your feet, feel the strength here, or feel the building of strength. Stay present in your pose. Press the feet down, hug the thighs till they're parallel. Squeeze the thighs onto the bone. Lift up. And then the core, engage your core. Navel in toward your spine. Building low back strength now. After the core is engaged, think of the pelvic floor and also engage that with a strong engagement of the core and low pelvic muscles. Go ahead and bring the spine straight down to the ground. Feeling the strength and the engagement, the support in the mid-body. Now the gratitude kicks in as we lower the hips down. Go ahead and stretch the whole body out long. Extend the legs to the bottom of the mat. And walk them to the bottom corner, the right bottom corner. Extend the hands above the head and maybe fold them onto the elbows or just bring them to the top right corner. So elbows or extended arms at the top right corner of the mat in banana pose. Stack one ankle on top of the other. Breathe along the left side of the body, complete presence, awareness. And while you're here, think of one thing, one little thing, tiny thing, not the great big thing that happened today, but think of one little thing that happened that made you smile or lifted your heart, something you were grateful for. It could be a bird that made you smile. It could be somebody else's dog. It could be a song that you heard that lifted your heart or made you laugh. It could be something you saw that warmed your soul, a book or a movie even. Look for the little things. Remember them. Run them through your head again when you're deeply relaxed and completely present. When you are present, then and only then can you really feel the gratitude for the little things. Second side for banana. Both feet to the bottom left corner. Both hands to the top left corner. Hands could fold over the elbow creases. And there is a delicious, wonderful stretch happening along the right side of the body now. Practice drinking that in, feeling that. Something else you're grateful for today. Bring that to mind. Something little. Gratitude is a practice. We get better at it as we practice. Of course, we're grateful for our health, our lives. But it's the practice of the little things that bring the deep gratitude. All right, bring yourself back through center. We're going to move to supported fish for our final posture. So if you have a bolster or 2 blocks, you can set up for fish. With the blocks, you'll need one for your head and one for your shoulder blades. The block for the shoulder blades will be up pretty high, really truly on the blades. And you can do it vertically or horizontally. You want your head not to interrupt when you come back down onto the block. So if it's horizontal, just shift until you're comfortable. If it's vertical, same thing, just shift till you're comfortable. You may or may not need a second block for your head. You could also use a bolster underneath the spine and save these blocks for your knees. Set the bolster up so that it will support both the hips, the spine, and the head. And then once you start into your fish pose, you could bend the knees and with or without blocks, move to supported fish with butterfly legs. Palms up for receiving. Not only does it nudge the shoulder blades underneath you, it puts us in a place of being completely open, where we can feel and appreciate and soak in the things we're grateful for. So now, the big things you're grateful for. Draw those to mind, 2 or 3 of those, and let them wash over the body. Maybe you feel them at some point in your body. Perhaps you feel them in your hands, a tingling in your hands. Perhaps that feeling of gratitude washes over the heart. Perhaps it's in the throat. Notice what happens as the mind wires the brain. Notice what happens in the body. This practice, this constant returning to little things and big things, this broadening of awareness allows us to feel gratitude and let it run through our bodies in a way that just intellectually being grateful does not do for us. Settle into your Shavasana with complete presence. Open heart, palms up, and let the gratitude wash over your body. Practice being open. Practice drawing in that feeling of gratitude for little things and big things. That is the yoga practice. As we finish here, I'll read to you just a touch about gratitude. Well, you can do this gratitude practice in your head or while you do yoga. Keeping a list of what you are grateful for has been shown to have many physical and emotional benefits over time. Each time you journal, try to write down 3 different things that you're grateful for, because variation is the key to broadening your perspective, to feel all the things we are grateful for. Variation is the key to effective gratitude journaling. So if you can stay right here and let that feeling of gratitude run through your body for another 20 minutes, fabulous. Go ahead and do that. If it's time to return to your evening, go ahead and begin to return motion back to your fingers and toes. You may need to remove props from under your body. Bring the knees to the chest. You can finish on your back or on your side. And if you haven't had a chance during your practice to send gratitude, this is a fabulous place to do it. That two-way street of gratitude, sending it so powerful for you, remembering it, understanding it, drinking it in, so powerful for rewiring your mind. And does the person you send gratitude to feel it? That's the million-dollar question. I would say yes. When you're ready, bring yourself back up to a seated pose. Straight spine. Let's finish with 3 ohms tonight. O in the chest, up through the throat and into the jaw. If you prefer just breath, that's fine. 3 breaths or 3 ohms. Here we go. Full breath in. Palms at heart center, and we bow to each other, to our own soul, to all souls. Namaste. I hope you have a week full of deep presence so you can feel all the little wonderful things around you.